Troy Kenneth Aikman was born on November 21, 1966, in West Covina, California, but his story wouldn't stay in California for long. When he was 12 years old, his family moved to Henrietta, Oklahoma, a small town with more cattle than people and where football wasn't just a game. It was a way of life. The transition from the West Coast to rural America was tough, but it shaped him. In Henrietta, Troy learned what it meant to be tough, to work hard, and to compete without excuses. Even then, he carried himself with quiet confidence. He didn't need to talk much, he let his performance speak for him. Aikman excelled in multiple sports, but football was where he shined brightest. With a strong, accurate arm and an unflappable demeanor in the pocket, he quickly became a local star. At Henrietta High School, he passed for over 5,700 yards and 42 touchdowns, earning all-state honors and a scholarship to play quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, one of the most storied programs in college football. But his journey to greatness wasn't straightforward. At Oklahoma, Aikman was asked to run the wishbone offense, an old-school, run-heavy system that didn't fit his strengths as a pure passer. In 1985, during his sophomore year, he suffered a broken ankle in a game against Miami. The injury not only ended his season but forced him to rethink his future. The Sooners went on to win the national title without him, and Aikman quietly transferred to UCLA, where he could finally showcase his talent in a pro-style system. At UCLA, Troy found his rhythm. Under head coach Terry Donahue, he developed into one of the most polished passers in the country. He threw for over 5,200 yards and 41 touchdowns in 2 seasons, earning the 1988 Davey O'Brien Award as the nation's top quarterback and finishing third in the Heisman Trophy voting. He was smart, efficient, and accurate, a prototype NFL quarterback before the term became cliché. When the 1989 NFL draft arrived, there was no question who the top pick would be. The Dallas Cowboys, who had just gone 3-13 and were beginning a massive rebuild under new owner Jerry Jones and head coach Jimmy Johnson, selected Troy Aikman with the first overall pick. Aikman walked into a franchise in chaos. The Cowboys were a shadow of their former glory. The roster was weak, and expectations were low. In his rookie season, the team went 1-15, and Aikman lost all 11 games he started. He was battered and bruised, sacked 60 times and harassed constantly behind a porous offensive line. But through the losses and the pain, Aikman never wavered. He studied, he worked, and he kept learning. He wasn't a quarterback who pointed fingers. He didn't call out teammates or blame coaches. He just put his head down and got better. The Cowboys drafted wisely in the years that followed. They added running back Emmitt Smith, wide receiver Michael Irvin, and a stout offensive line that would eventually become one of the most dominant units in NFL history. With Johnson's fiery leadership and Aikman's icy composure, the team slowly transformed from laughingstock to contender. By 1991, the Cowboys made the playoffs. By 1992, they were champions. That season, Aikman threw for over 3,400 yards and 23 touchdowns, leading the Cowboys to a 13-3 record. In the postseason, he elevated his game. In the NFC Championship against the 49ers, he was flawless. In Super Bowl 27 against the Buffalo Bills, he threw for 273 yards and 4 touchdowns, earning Super Bowl MVP honors. The Cowboys won 52-17. It wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. Dallas was back, and Troy Aikman was the quarterback leading the charge. The following year, they did it again. Aikman led Dallas to a 30-13 win over the 49ers in the NFC title game and a second straight victory over the Bills in Super Bowl 28. This time, it was Emmitt Smith who earned MVP honors. But Aikman's steady hand had once again guided the team through every storm. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. But he was ruthlessly efficient. He read defenses like a surgeon and delivered passes with surgical precision. In big moments, he was calm, methodical, and brutally effective. In 1995, the Cowboys returned to the mountaintop once more. Under new head coach Barry Switzer, Dallas went 12-4 and reached Super Bowl 30, where they defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17. Aikman wasn't chasing records or headlines. He was chasing wins. And with that third Super Bowl title in 4 years, he cemented his place in NFL history. By the late 1990s, the toll of football began to catch up with him. Aikman had suffered numerous concussions and back injuries. He played through pain constantly, rarely complaining, often hiding the extent of his discomfort from coaches and teammates. He was the ultimate professional, always showing up, always competing, always doing his job. But his body was breaking down. In 2000, after being released by the Cowboys and unable to pass physicals with other teams, he announced his retirement. Aikman finished his career with over 32,000 passing yards, 165 touchdowns, and 90 career wins. But those numbers don't tell the full story. He wasn't a stat padder. He was a field general, a big-game quarterback, a leader who sacrificed personal glory for team success. In playoff games, he completed over 63% of his passes, threw 23 touchdowns to just 17 interceptions, and posted an 11-5 postseason record. In 3 Super Bowl appearances, he never threw a single interception. After football, Aikman transitioned seamlessly into broadcasting, becoming the lead NFL analyst for Fox alongside Joe Buck. There, he brought the same preparation and insight that defined his playing career. He offered viewers sharp analysis without arrogance, never seeking the spotlight but always earning respect. He also became a successful businessman, philanthropist, and advocate for children's health and education in Texas and beyond. In 2006, Aikman was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His speech was classic Troy, gracious, composed, and focused on others. He thanked his coaches, his teammates, and the fans who stuck by him during the dark early days. He didn't boast. He didn't reminisce about numbers. He talked about trust, teamwork, and how football had shaped him into the man he was. To this day, Troy Aikman remains one of the most iconic and quietly revered quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Not because he chased headlines, shattered passing records, or lived in the spotlight, but because he did the one thing that mattered most. He won. He was the heartbeat of the Dallas Cowboys' 1990s dynasty, a team forged in discipline, unity, and sheer willpower. In an era when swagger and self-promotion were creeping into the league, Aikman was a throwback. Stoic, selfless, and centered. He didn't need to shout his greatness. He proved it every time he stepped onto the field. He embodied the essence of a field general, calm under pressure, decisive when chaos erupted around him. The bigger the stage, the sharper his focus became. Whether it was a critical third down in December or the final drive of a Super Bowl, he never flinched. His game wasn't built on flash. It was built on control, timing, trust, and total mastery of the moment. Every throw he made was with intention. Every decision was rooted in hours of study and instinct forged in battle. Aikman didn't dominate the sports pages with dramatic soundbites or controversial opinions. He didn't market himself as a brand. But inside the locker room, his presence was absolute. His teammates followed him not because he demanded it, but because he earned it. Coaches leaned on him because they knew he wouldn't crack when the pressure came. Opponents knew if they gave him time, he would slice through their defense with cold precision. He didn't have to be loud to be lethal. His leadership came not from words, but from action, consistently showing up, putting in the work, and delivering when it mattered most. In a league where personalities are often bigger than performance, Aikman was the quiet cornerstone of one of football's greatest dynasties. Week after week, year after year, he made the right reads, delivered the right passes, and carried the expectations of a franchise that defined excellence. He did it all while facing the unique glare of being the quarterback for America's team, a role where every mistake is magnified and every victory is expected. He never let it change him. He played through pain. He absorbed criticism. He stood tall during losing seasons and stayed humble through championships. His game wasn't about fireworks, it was about foundation. He was the bedrock of the Cowboys' revival. In an age of ego, he was the steady hand behind the storm. In moments of chaos, he was calm. In the shadows of brighter personalities, he was the unwavering presence that kept the team grounded. And when the long, winding story of the NFL is told not just in statistics or trophies, but in the legacy of leaders who elevated the game with their grace, discipline, and sheer force of will, Troy Aikman's name will never fade. He'll be remembered not only as a three-time Super Bowl champion, not only as a Hall of Famer, but as the quarterback who redefined what it meant to lead with quiet strength. He didn't chase greatness. He became it. He didn't ask for glory. He earned it. And through it all, he reminded the world that sometimes the loudest statement comes from the one who says the least. That name is Troy Aikman.